Hi everyone, and welcome to The Sleepy Scientist. I'm really happy you're here. Tonight, we're going to go on a calm and quiet trip to learn something amazing. So get comfy, take a deep breath, and let's enjoy this peaceful science story together. Before we start, tell me in the comments, where are you watching from and what time is it for you right now? If you like relaxing science videos, don't forget to tap the like button. Now let's begin. The night is very quiet, like a slow breath. You might be lying in bed, listening to the soft hum of the world. Your eyes are heavy, your thoughts float like small boats on a calm lake. In this quiet place, a question rises like the moon. Can two minds be linked the way two tiny particles can be linked in the strange world of quantum physics? The words sound big, but the idea is gentle, like a string pulled between two fireflies. One glows, then the other glows too, even when they are far apart. It feels like magic. It feels like a whisper moving through the dark without touching the air. In the small world of atoms, and even smaller things inside atoms, there is a tender rule that seems to bend the way we think time and space should behave. Scientists call it quantum entanglement. Entanglement means this: two tiny pieces of the world can become part of one shared story. When they are made together or touch in a special way, their fates are woven like threads in one cloth. Change one, and the other changes too. Not because a signal runs across space with the speed of light, but because they are not two separate stories anymore. They are one. The story is one. The cloth is one. It is not fast or slow, it is simply whole. Long ago, three thinkers sat with this puzzle. Their names were Albert Einstein, Boris Podolsky, and Nathan Rosen. They wrote about it in a paper that asked if the quantum picture could be complete. Einstein did not like the idea that a change here could make a change there without any time to travel. He called it spooky action at a distance. He hoped there were hidden parts, secret notes we had not yet read, that could explain it all in a simple way. For a while, people wondered with him, but later, tests made the question clear. The tests were careful and kind, like a patient teacher. They showed that the spooky link was real in the way the math said it would be. The world, at its smallest sizes, holds hands in ways that our eyes cannot see. Entanglement is not like a phone call, though. It cannot carry a message by itself. You cannot wink at one particle and have it send hello to its partner across a room or across the sky. The rules of the universe protect a limb called the speed of light. No simple secret code rides on entanglement alone. Still, the link is there, quiet and strong. It is like two coins made together, so that when one shows heads, the other must show tails, even if you keep them in different pockets and only look later. The result is shared from the start, even though you cannot know which coin will be heads until you peek. When we look up at the night and down into our hearts, we might wonder if minds can be like those coins. Can thoughts be paired? Can feelings jump like sparks between two people who care for each other or who share a deep past? Some nights you may think of someone you love and your phone buzzes, and it is them saying they were thinking of you too. It can feel like the universe is nodding at you, a little smile in the dark. It can feel like entanglement of souls. The word soul is soft here. It does not need sharp edges. It can just mean the warm circle of who you are when you are most yourself. Let us drift gently into what a mind is made of. Inside your head, there are tiny cells called neurons. They reach out with little branches and pass whispers of electricity from one to another. These whispers are not loud, not like thunder. They are more like rain tapping on a window. Each tap carries a simple message: on or off, here or there, pause or go. When millions of these taps move together in a pattern, they make the music of your thoughts. They make your memory of a summer day. They make the taste of strawberries. They make the way your shoulders loosen when you hear a friend's laugh. Now imagine the brain's whisper like ripples on a pond. The ripples rise and fall in waves. Some waves are slow and gentle, some are quick and lively. Scientists can see these waves when they put soft caps with sensors on the head. The lines on the screen move like grass in wind. When two people sit together, sometimes their brain waves move in similar patterns. It is called synchronization. It does not mean they read each other's thoughts like words on a page. It means they're sharing a rhythm, like two dancers who feel the same beat. The beat might come from a shared song, a shared story, or even from the simple act of looking into each other's eyes and breathing at the same pace. This kind of syncing is not quantum entanglement. It is not faster than light. It is not mysterious in the strict scientific sense. But it is still beautiful. It shows how two minds can lean toward the same shape. It is like two trees growing side by side, both turning their leaves to the same sun. When the light shifts, they shift together. They share a world. They share cues and sights and sounds. They share a kind of gentle timing that the body and brain can feel without needing any words. There are other ways minds connect that feel almost like a soft magic, though they live inside normal rules of nature. When we see someone smile, tiny mirror systems in our brains spark, and we feel a hint of that smile inside our face. When we hear a sad voice, even without seeing the person, parts of our brain that know about sadness begin to stir. We are built to reflect each other. We are built to hum the same note for a moment and then rest. This is a human kind of entanglement. It is not quantum. It is not instant across space, but it is a bond, and it is strong. So where does the true quantum story fit? In labs, scientists have entangled light. Little crystals, pairs of atoms, even small groups of particles that dance as one. The trick is always the same: make them from one event, or let them meet in a way that ties their futures. Then hold them gently, away from noise. The world is a busy place. Heat is noise, touch is noise, air is noise, time is noise. All these things poke at the quiet link and make it fade. The fading is called decoherence. It is like fog drifting between two lanterns, softening the line of light. If you want to keep the link bright, you must cool things down, keep things still, and move fast. Our brains are warm, they are wet, they are full of motion, salt, and tiny storms. In this soft thunder, any quantum link would be shaken apart in a blink. This is what most scientists believe. The brain's grand music is played by large, warm groups of cells. Quantum effects, if they arise, do not hold steady long enough to build thoughts. They end too soon, melted by the noise of life. This idea is not meant to be sad. It is just a way of saying that nature uses different tools at different sizes, like a painter using a tiny brush for eyes and a wide brush for skies. Well, the human heart loves a maybe. Some thinkers wonder if somehow certain structures in brain cells, little tubes that help the cell keep its shape, could show quantum steps for a brief breath of time. They ask if those tiny steps could grow into the larger music of thought. It is a hard idea to test, like trying to hear a single snowflake land in a winter storm. Most signs so far say that the storm is too loud, but wonder is allowed here. Science moves with both careful proof and brave questions. It needs both shoes to walk. If two minds cannot be linked by true quantum entanglement the way two particles can, why does it feel at times like our thoughts meet in the air? The answer may live in simple things. We share the same sun and the same clocks. We share stories, songs, memories and roads. We watch the same skies and read the same words. Our brains are shaped by the same kind of bodies, and those bodies need similar things. When we live together, we move to the same rhythms. We wake with light, we rest with night, we eat in patterns, we talk in patterns, we learn the steps of each other's dances. After a while, a glance can carry a paragraph. A sigh can carry a page. Think of a friend who knows you well. They can see the small signs in your face that others might miss. The way your eyes soften when you are tired, the way you hold your hands when you're unsure. They can guess your thought, not because your minds are joined by a secret thread of physics, but because they've walked with you for a long time. They've been there for your sunrises and your storms. Their brain holds a map of your small signals. Your map of them rests in you too. 2 maps, 2 hearts, many shared roads. The feeling of we thought the same thing at once is the sweet echo of those roads. Now, let us look again at the tiny world, the one that lives inside light and atoms. Even there, the link is not a message in a bottle. It is a mirror that refuses to break, even when the pieces sit apart. If we ask, does this mean the universe is one giant mind? We step into deep waters. Some people like the thought that everything is connected in a grand, bright way. Others like to keep to what we can test and touch. In the quiet, we can hold both ideas softly, without force. We can say, the math shows a link at small sizes, and that link has strict rules. We can also say people feel links at large sizes, and those links have their own rules, rules of life and love and learning. You can almost feel the 2 ideas brushing past each other in the dark, the strict, bright line of physics, and the warm, soft curve of human bonds. They do not have to fight. They can sit side by side like 2 cups of tea on a table. One cup is very hot and sharp, full of numbers that match what we see in tests. The other cup is soothing and sweet, full of stories that match what we feel in our days. We can sip from both and still fall asleep feeling safe. In the most careful labs, Entanglement lets people build tools that seem like small miracles, secure keys for messages, tiny steps toward new kinds of computers, sensors that can feel what normal tools miss. These gifts come from respecting how fragile the link is and how exact the dance must be to keep it alive. It is like holding a soap bubble and learning to walk without letting it pop. Every breath matters, every shadow matters. The bubble glows, the bubble teaches patience. When you think of 2 minds in love, in friendship, or simply in quiet company, you can picture a different bubble. This bubble is hardy. It does not mind heat or noise, it grows stronger with use. It is made of trust, time and care. It is made of the simple acts of life, a meal cooked, a door held, a story told twice because the first time they made you laugh. This bubble is not quantum, but it is also a kind of entanglement, not of particles but of paths. 2 lives weave together and hold. Some evenings you might sit with someone you love and say nothing at all. The room hums, the clock ticks, a moth taps the glass, your breaths line up, your heart rates drift toward the same pace, your muscles release at the same time. You did not plan this. The body knows how to meet another body in the middle. The brain knows how to settle when the world is safe. This is a form of sync, gentle and kind. It is like 2 boats finding the same current, floating side by side without a rope. And if you are far apart, if the miles stretch like a soft grey ribbon, you can still feel close because habits are strong. You drink tea at the hour they do. You think of them when the evening light comes in through the same angle for both of you. You stand by a window, and they stand by a window, each of you with a different view, each of you bathed in the same planet's turning. The earth is the drum that keeps the beat. You both step to it. That is a simple earthly answer to a deep longing. It is still beautiful. The invisible thread between stars and souls is not a beam of particles sliding through walls to carry thoughts like letters. It is softer, and it is everywhere. It is the thread of shared physics, the light that leaves the sun and touches us all, the air that mixes our breaths, the gravity that holds us close to the same ground. It is the thread of shared life, the stories we tell, the music we sing, the care we give. When we speak of quantum entanglement, we speak of a real and delicate tie in the tiny world. When we speak of minds, we speak of a real and sturdy tie in the human world. They are both real, each in its way. We do not have to make them the same to let them both shine. So if you wonder, late at night, whether two minds can be linked, you can hold the answer like a small feather. In the strict lab sense, the brain is not a quiet crystal at near 0 degrees. It is a warm sea full of waves and life. True quantum entanglement slips away there like dew in sunlight. But in the soft human sense, minds link all the time. They link when we listen, when we breathe together, when we look at the same stars and feel the same hush stir inside us. We link when we share a memory. We link when we share a hope. Now imagine two people on opposite sides of a lake. Each watches the moon rise. The water between them is black silk. A small wind moves across it. They cannot see each other, not clearly, but they both watch the same silver path the moon lays down on the water. Their minds rest on that path. In that moment, there is a quiet joining. Not because a secret quantum wire runs from one skull to the other, but because the world has offered them the same gentle gift. The path is wide enough for both. The night is kind enough for both. The soft thread is real enough for both. As you drift towards sleep, let the 2 cups of tea sit cooling on the table of your mind. Let one remind you of the bright, delicate rules of the tiny world. Let the other remind you of the warm, enduring rules of the human heart. You do not have to choose between them, you can hold both. You can be curious without being restless. You can be calm and still wonder. You can let the questions stay open like a window on a spring night, letting in air that smells of leaves and rain. In that fresh air, the mind is quiet, and the thread, whatever name you give it, feels very near. Let us drift deeper into the invisible thread. In the first steps, we looked at how entanglement lives in the world of atoms, and how minds connect through rhythm, trust, and care. Now we can wander more slowly into the spaces where these two ideas brush against each other. The science that shapes our universe, and the gentle patterns of human life. It is a wide meadow full of quiet paths. The night sky above it is full of stars, each a lantern lit millions of years ago. Beneath that sky, you may feel very small, but you may also feel part of something wide, something without edges. This is where the question of linked minds breathes most softly. Could the strange laws of tiny particles whisper into the large, warm shapes of thought and love? Entanglement is not only a curiosity, it is a foundation of how we now understand the universe. In 1964, John Bell gave the world a new key, a set of inequalities that could test whether hidden notes explained entanglement or if the world was truly stranger than we guessed. Decades of experiments have pressed this key into lock after lock, and each time the door opened to the same room, the entangled world is real, and hidden notes are not enough. Photons, electrons, atoms, they all play the game, bound together beyond space. This is science as careful as breath, repeated across many lands, many years, many hands. The story holds, the thread does not break. But when we bring this thread into the human mind, we step onto softer ground. Some thinkers, like Roger Penrose and Stuart Hameroff, have suggested that quantum states in the microtubules of neurons might shape consciousness. They call it orchestrated objective reduction. It is a mouthful, yet its heart is simple. Perhaps the mind is more than a warm storm of cells. Perhaps, hidden within, there are fragile moments where quantum whispers last long enough to matter. Critics remind us that the brain is noisy, too warm, too wet. Quantum threads may snap before they can weave into thought. The debate continues like a tide, rising and falling. Most evidence says no, yet the dream lingers, soft and stubborn, like mist refusing to lift. And why does the dream linger? Because we long for connection that goes beyond distance. We hope that love can leap the miles, that memory can echo in more than synapses, that souls can nod to each other in the silence between breaths. Entanglement, with its spooky action, offers a metaphor too lovely to let go. Even if minds do not entangle in the strict quantum sense, the image of them shining like paired stars across a dark sky brings comfort. It tells us that closeness is possible even when bodies are apart, that bonds can hold even when silence is long. The science may say no, but the story whispers yes, and both have their place in the quiet night. When we speak of entanglement in science, we must picture careful experiments, two photons born together in a crystal, flying away in opposite directions as directions, their polarizations tied. One turns left, the other must turn right. Not because one sends a signal, but because their dance was set from the start by the same birth. Now imagine not photons, but two hearts born of the same moment, the same memory. They too may feel tied not by physics, but by the story of their shared origin. This is how metaphors grow from equations. The math speaks of particles, but our hearts hear it as love. Neither cancels the other. Both can shine. We can also drift into the role of coherence. In the quantum world, coherence means a system holds its fragile order. In the human world, coherence means our lives hold a rhythm. When we feel aligned, when our days flow with purpose and peace, we say our lives are coherent. The word bridges both worlds. In a lab, coherence fades with noise. In life, coherence fades with stress, with fear, with noise of the mind. To restore it, we seek silence, song, prayer, or the simple kindness of a friend. Entanglement and coherence meet here as metaphors stretching hands toward each other, one from science, one from soul. Some people ask, if the universe allows entanglement, what does it say about the whole cosmos? Is the universe itself one great entangled being, every part linked to every other? Cosmology tells us that once, long ago, everything we now see was packed together in one hot, bright point. The Big Bang was a shared birth, a single origin. In that sense, everything carries the memory of being one. Does that memory live as entanglement across the sky? Some physicists think so, at least in traces. Tiny quantum fingerprints from the early universe may still ripple in the cosmic background radiation, like whispers across space. It is science, not poetry. but the poetry sits very close behind it, smiling. Think of yourself sitting under the stars. The light that reaches you left its home long ago. From some stars, the light began its journey before humans walked the earth. And yet, here it is, touching your eyes, writing itself into your brain. This is a kind of entanglement too, not quantum but temporal. You are linked to ancient moments, to fires that burned before your name was spoken. The universe writes itself into you, photon by photon. You carry the memory of the stars in your cells, in your bones. The iron in your blood was born in the death of old suns. This is the grandest entanglement of all. You are not separate. You are woven from the universe's cloth. Now let us return to the smaller, warmer weave of two minds. Picture two children sitting together, drawing pictures with crayons. One picks blue, the other picks green, but somehow the drawings match, as if planned. They giggle. They do not need to explain. Their play is the link. Years later, they may remember that moment, and both may feel the same smile rise in their faces at once, even if far apart. No quantum threads tie them. Memory ties them. Shared time ties them. The rhythm of life ties them. But the feeling is just as sweet. A spark across distance. A smile across silence. Science often asks us to keep careful borders. This is proven, that is guessed, this is metaphor. But as dreamers, we're allowed to let the borders soften at night. We can let the image of quantum entanglement remind us that the world is stranger and more connected than we expect. We can let the rhythm of shared breaths remind us that our own connections are just as strange and precious. We do not have to confuse them. We can hold both, like holding two seashells to our ears, each with its own song. One sings of atoms, one sings of love. Together they sing of wonder. In the future, entanglement will not only live in labs, it will flow into our tools. Quantum computers, quantum communication, quantum sensing, these will change how we see and touch the world. And yet, no matter how sharp the science becomes, the human hunger for connection will remain. We will still ask, can two minds be linked? The answer may stay no in the strict sense. But the deeper answer, the one that hums like a lullaby, will always be yes. Minds link every day in ways science may measure and in ways it cannot. A hand held, a word spoken, a silence shared. These are links too, strong as any thread. Now imagine again the invisible thread between stars and souls. In the lab it is fragile, lost in heat and noise. In the heart it is strong, growing brighter with time. One thread teaches us humility before nature's laws. The other teaches us joy in nature's gifts. Between them we walk. Between them we dream. Between them we fall asleep with wonder in our eyes, knowing that whether by physics or by love, we are never truly alone. The thread we've been following has led us gently across many landscapes. The physics of entangled particles, the soft synchrony of human hearts, and the wide embrace of the cosmos itself. Now, as we move toward a close, let us slow our steps and look back at what we have gathered. The question of whether two minds can be linked like two entangled photons is not a question with a single sharp answer. It is more like a song with verses that shift in tone. One verse scientific, one verse poetic, one verse deeply human. In the quiet, the verses merge into a single melody, soft enough to soothe, steady enough to guide us towards sleep. In the strict realm of physics, entanglement is a phenomenon both fragile and powerful. Fragile because it collapses when the world's noise presses too close, powerful because it defies our classical sense of separation. It shows us that distance does not always mean disconnection. Two particles, once born together, remain joined in their properties no matter how far apart they drift. This is not communication. This is not a message passed from one to the other. It is a shared fate, a bond written at the moment of their creation. To imagine this is to imagine a unity deeper than our daily sense of apartness. It is to glimpse that the universe holds a memory of togetherness that cannot be erased. In the warm chambers of the human mind, the story is different. Neurons speak with sparks, not qubits. Their waves are strong enough to carry thought, yet too noisy to hold quantum coherence for long. Science tells us that entanglement does not last here. And yet, in another sense, connection thrives. Brains fall into rhythm with one another through gaze, through voice, through simple acts of breathing side by side. Empathy blooms in the mirror of our neural circuits. Love blooms in the patient weaving of days. Memory links us across time. Trust links us across silence. These links are not quantum, but they are real, and they are strong enough to shape a lifetime. As we close, it helps to rest in metaphor, to let the images themselves be a kind of bridge. Imagine entangled photons as fireflies, flashing in unison across the night. Imagine two friends as trees, their roots twined beneath the soil, unseen yet unbreakable. Imagine the cosmos as a great loom, weaving stars, atoms and hearts into one endless fabric. These pictures are not equations, but they carry truth. They remind us that connection comes in many forms, that wonder lives in both science and story. They remind us that it's possible to be held, even across distance. The future of entanglement in technology may sound sharp and exact. Quantum networks, secure keys, computers that solve problems beyond today's reach. But when you step back, these too are tools for connection. They are ways of linking minds, of sharing knowledge, of bridging the gaps between us. Science builds its bridges in silicon and light. Life builds its bridges in words and care. Both aim at the same dream, that we might reach each other more deeply, more gently, more truly. So can two minds be linked? If you ask physics, the answer is no. Not in the way particles entangle, not in the fragile, ghostly sense of shared quantum states. If you ask the heart, the answer is yes. Through love, through rhythm, through shared moments that echo across years. And if you ask the night sky, perhaps the answer is silence. A silence so deep it holds both answers. A silence that invites us to rest without needing certainty. The silence itself becomes the thread, binding question and answer together. As you let your own thoughts settle, picture again the image of two people on opposite shores of a lake. Each sees the same moon rise, each feels the same cool air brush their face. They cannot see one another, but they are joined by the path of light across the water. That path is wide enough for both. That path is real. You too have such paths, with those you love, with the world itself, with the stars above. They do not need wires or signals. They need only your quiet attention. They need only your willingness to feel. Now, let the story fold itself closed like a letter sealed with care. Let the science of entanglement rest in your mind as a marvel of nature's design. Let the poetry of linked minds rest in your heart as a reminder of your own bonds. And let the night wrap around you, carrying both truths in its gentle arms. For in the end, whether through particles or through love, you are not alone. The universe itself hums with connection, and you are part of its song. Sleep comes easier when you remember that. Sleep comes softer when you let yourself be woven into the fabric that holds everything. And as you drift, the thread, invisible, unbreakable, endless, drifts with you. The world is quiet, yet beneath its stillness, something unseen is always moving. Imagine closing your eyes and feeling the air brush past your skin, the faint warmth of your breath, the steady hum of your heart. Now imagine smaller things, far smaller than dust, far smaller than a cell. Imagine particles, the most delicate pieces of reality, whispering across spaces too vast for the eye to see. This is the story of how silence itself can carry messages, how the universe holds conversations in its smallest corners. When scientists first learned of particles, they thought of them as tiny marbles, solid and simple. But the closer they looked, the less the picture held. A marble is firm, but an electron is not firm in the same way. It is a cloud, a wave, a shimmer of possibility. Sometimes it is here, sometimes it is there, and until it is asked, it is both. This strange dance is called superposition, and it is the first step in understanding the whispers of the void. The void is not empty, it is full of questions waiting for answers, full of shapes waiting for eyes. But superposition is only the beginning. When particles are created together, or when they meet in a special way, they can become linked. This link is not made of wires or sound or light. It is made of shared being. When one is nudged, the other seems to know, no matter how far apart they drift. It is as if two leaves, torn from the same branch, fell into different rivers, yet still turned with the same current. This is entanglement again, but now we lean closer into the whisper. What does it mean for particles to share a fate across the emptiness? Picture two photons, little packets of light. They are born in the heart of a crystal, spun out together like twins from the same spark. One flies left, the other right. They are far apart within seconds, but their polarizations, the way their light vibrates, remain tied. Measure one and you learn the other. It is not a message. It is not a secret code. It is a whisper in the fabric of reality, a reminder that separation is not always what it seems. And yet, the void between them is not nothing. Space is not a hollow shell. Space is alive with quantum fields, with fluctuations that blink into and out of being. Even in perfect darkness, particles appear and vanish, pairs born and gone in an instant. This is the quantum foam, a restless sea at the base of all things. In that sea, whispers travel not as sound but as subtle threads of probability. To imagine it is to imagine a field of grass where blades bend in invisible winds, a meadow where the silence itself is alive. For a long time, people thought of space as empty, a stage for matter to move upon. Now we know the stage is also an actor. Space bends with gravity. Space hums with energy. Space itself expands, carrying galaxies apart like dots on an inflating balloon. In this expansion, the whispers of particles stretch too. They carry traces of their shared origins, faint echoes of the universe's first song. Some scientists say the cosmic microwave background, the faint glow left from the Big Bang, is filled with these whispers, a frozen memory of when all matter was close and warm. Look closely enough and the void is not silent at all. It is filled with the murmur of creation. Think of yourself lying in bed, lights dim, the quiet of night pressing around you. You may think of silence as empty, but listen longer and you hear the hum of the refrigerator, the pulse in your ear, the tick of a clock. The silence is never pure. The void is never pure. Both hold whispers if you are patient. Both hold stories if you are willing to listen. The particles whisper not for us, but we are here to hear them, and that makes the listening real. Now let us wander into the question, do these whispers matter for us? On the grandest scales, yes. Quantum whispers build stars, fuel reactions in the heart of suns, shape the chemistry that makes life possible. They guide the bonds between atoms, the folding of proteins, the sparkle of fireflies. They are small, but they are everywhere, and everywhere they matter. Without them, the universe would not hum. Without them, we would not be here to dream. And yet, there is another kind of whisper, the one we imagine, when we feel a sudden thought of someone far away, when we sense a presence in the quiet. We may think of particles speaking across the void. It is a metaphor, but it is a kind one. It lets us picture our bonds as part of the larger bonds of the world. The science says no, particles cannot carry our thoughts across space, but the heart says maybe, and that maybe is sometimes enough to soothe us in the night. To close this first part of the story, rest with the image of two photons flying apart, their paths widening with every breath of time. Between them is silence, yet their bond remains. Between us and the stars is silence, yet their light still reaches us. Between you and those you love may be silence too, but the memory of connection, the rhythm of shared being, still hums. The void whispers, not in words but in presence. To listen is to belong, to listen is to know you are never truly alone. The whispers we began to hear are not finished. They echo deeper, across both the vastness of space and the smallness within us. When we think of particles whispering across the void, we imagine light, electrons, atoms, the smallest dancers in the cosmic ballet. But the whispers do not stop at the boundaries of physics. They become metaphors for how everything in the universe stays tied, for how silence itself becomes a bridge. Let us wander deeper into this thought, letting each step slow, letting each idea rest before the next arrives. In physics, a whisper can mean a fluctuation, a tiny shift in a field that never truly settles. Quantum fields are everywhere, like invisible oceans filling the cosmos. Even when no particles are present, these fields ripple. They do not need matter to exist. They are the stage and the actor all at once. From these ripples, pairs of particles appear and vanish. They are called virtual particles, though they are as real as anything can be in such a fleeting span. They live for a blink shorter than thought, and yet their presence shapes the forces of nature. They are whispers shaping the universe without ever raising their voices. One of the strangest examples of these whispers is called the Casimir effect. Place two mirrors very close together, with only a hair's width of space between them, and the quantum field around them changes. Outside the mirrors, virtual particles of many wavelengths appear. Between the mirrors, only certain waves can fit. The imbalance creates a pressure, pushing the mirrors together. Nothing touches them, and yet they move. It is the void itself that presses, the silence itself that whispers. To think of this is to realize that emptiness is never truly empty. Even in absence there is presence. Even in silence there is song. Now step from mirrors back to stars. In the heart of suns, whispers of quantum chants guide nuclear fusion. Hydrogen becomes helium not only by pressure and heat, but by the quantum possibility of tunneling. particles passing through barriers they should not pass. Without this whisper of tunnelling, stars would burn too slowly, or not at all. The night sky would be dark, the earth would be cold. The whispers, invisible and quiet, are the reason we see light at all. Each sunrise is written by them. Each breath of life is gifted by them. Every dawn you wake to is carried on the back of those small, impossible steps. Whispers also shape life at the smallest levels. In plants, photosynthesis is guided by a strange efficiency, one that may involve quantum coherence, particles of light moving through molecules not as separate paths but as waves, exploring many routes at once. It is as if the light, upon entering the leaf, whispers to itself across many directions, finding the best road to energy. A photon becomes more than a point. It becomes a question asked in many voices until the answer is found. This quiet process fills forests with green, fills air with oxygen, fills our bodies with breath. The whisper of particles is the song of trees, the song of life itself. Think now of the human mind again. Each thought is not a particle, yet each thought rests on particles moving, signals firing, chemicals dancing. We are made of whispers woven together, and in our lives we whisper too. A letter passed between friends, a glance across a room, a pause in a conversation where silence says more than words. These are echoes of the same truth. Connection does not always need loudness. Sometimes the softest movements carry the greatest meaning. Sometimes the spaces between things are where the deepest bonds grow. In the cosmos, there is also a whisper of expansion. Galaxies drift apart, carried by dark energy, a force we cannot yet name fully. The farther they are, the faster they recede. Yet in that separation, light still travels, carrying ancient whispers from billions of years ago. When you look at a star, you do not see it as it is now. You see it as it was long ago, the whisper of its former self. The night sky is a library of old stories, each point of light a voice carried across the void. To lie under the stars is to be surrounded by whispers, each one older than memory, each one patient enough to travel untold distances just to reach your eyes. And here is a softer thought. Perhaps every bond we feel in life is also a whisper carried across a void. The void between two hearts, the void between past and present, the void between hope and reality. We bridge these voids with gestures, with memory, with imagination. The physics of entangled photons may not give us telepathy, but it gives us an image, the image of togetherness that endures separation, and in that image we find comfort. We let the metaphor hold us as we fall asleep, the way a lullaby does not explain but still soothes. Even silence itself in music is part of the song. The pauses between notes are what make the notes matter. The space between words is what makes the words gentle. In the same way, the void between particles, between stars, between minds, is not empty. It is the pause that allows the whisper to be heard. Without the void, the whisper would have no stage. Without silence, music would be noise. The universe speaks in this balance, full and empty, sound and quiet, presence and absence. As we deepen into this second part of the story, let us hold both truths. The science that shows us how whispers shape stars, leaves and mirrors, and the poetry that shows us how whispers shape hearts, memories and songs. The void is not nothing. The void is the canvas. Across it, particles whisper. Across it, we whisper. Across it, the universe itself hums. And when we close our eyes, we can almost hear it. The faintest murmur of a cosmos that never stops speaking, even in its quietest breath. The whispers we have followed now gather into a final song. They have drifted from the smallest particles to the farthest stars, from the silence of mirrors to the music of leaves, from the language of atoms to the gentle rhythms of human hearts. To bring this story to a close, let us rest in the idea that the void itself is never empty, and that its quiet voices are what allow the universe and us within it to exist. As we step slowly toward an ending, we can carry these whispers as companions, soft reminders that even in the spaces between things, there is presence. Picture again the twin photons born in a crystal rushing in opposite directions. They fly apart into darkness, yet the bond between them does not fade. They cannot send messages, but they remain bound in property, as if the memory of their birth travels with them wherever they go. This is how the universe writes connection into its deepest rules. It is not communication, it is not language, it is simply togetherness carried without effort. To know this is to know that distance does not always mean division. To know this is to feel, perhaps, less alone under the wide sky. Now imagine the void itself. In ordinary thought, it is an absence, a blank. But in truth, it is the sea of potential, restless with fluctuations, full of fleeting appearances and vanishings. The void is not ganz, but a whispering choir too soft for our ears. It is the stage for stars, the ground of galaxies, the hidden current beneath all visible things. Even our bodies, solid as they seem, are mostly this void. Between every atom of bone and breath, the silence stretches wide, and yet we live, we feel, we dream. The void holds us, and its whispers keep us whole. The whispers shape not only what is vast, but also what is close. In every leaf, light moves with impossible efficiency, guided by quantum coherence. In every cell, proteins fold into perfect shapes, nudged by chance at scales too small for sight. In every sun, tunneling particles slip through barriers, allowing fusion to glow. Without these soft exchanges, there would be no forests, no oceans, no warmth. The whispers are not loud, but they are steady, and they never stop. They are the breath beneath all breaths, the unseen rhythm beneath all songs. And what about us? Our lives too are full of whispers. We remember the quiet voice of a parent, the soft laughter of a friend, the unspoken comfort of someone sitting nearby. We carry thoughts across years, across absence, and they feel present when we call them to mind. These are not quantum links, but they are bonds no less real. They remind us that connection does not always need wires or sound. Sometimes a memory is enough. Sometimes silence shared is enough. Sometimes a glance holds more than pages of words. The whispers also live in time itself. When you gaze at the stars, you see whispers from the past, photons that left their homes long before your birth. They have travelled across centuries of silence just to arrive at your eyes tonight. Each star is a letter written in light, and the night sky is a library without walls. To walk beneath it is to be surrounded by stories, each one patient, each one willing to wait. You standing on this small planet are the reader the cosmos has been writing to all along. Even the expansion of the universe carries whispers. Galaxies drift apart faster and faster, carried by dark energy, a force we cannot yet explain. The farther they move, the fainter their voices become, and yet for now we still hear them. For now their light still reaches us, for now their whispers still arrive. It is as if the universe is slowly turning the pages of a great book, and we are lucky enough to read the chapter we are in. Later chapters will unfold without us, but this one is ours to hold, ours to hear. So can particles whisper across the void? The answer is yes, but their whispers are not for us alone. They are for the fabric of reality, for the unfolding of stars, for the growth of life. We overhear them, like eavesdroppers at the edge of a cosmic conversation. And in overhearing we learn humility. We learn wonder. We learn that even silence is full of meaning. We learn that even absence is alive with presence. And can we too whisper across our own voids? Between people, between times, between distances? The answer is also yes. Not by quantum states, not by hidden signals, but by memory, by love, by the shared rhythms of life. A thought of someone far away, a letter sent, a song remembered, a silence held together. These are our whispers, our ways of speaking across the spaces that separate us. They are fragile, but they are enough. They are soft, but they endure. As this story closes, let yourself imagine lying under the stars. The air is cool, the grass soft beneath you. Above, the sky glimmers with countless whispers, each one older than your oldest memory. They fall upon you like a gentle rain of light, quiet yet unending. You breathe slowly. You feel the hush of the night press close. In this moment, you are both small and vast, a listener in a world of whispers, a voice in the choir of silence. The void does not separate you from the universe. It carries you within it. You are part of the whisper. You are part of the song. So sleep now, with the comfort that the void is never empty, that the universe is always speaking, that even in the deepest silence you are surrounded by voices. Let the whispers guide you into dreams. Let the whispers remind you that you belong. And as you drift away, know that the quietest truths are sometimes the strongest. That presence lives in absence. That silence is alive. And that across every void, something is always reaching softly toward you. The story we turn to now is softer still, yet it carries a question as wide as the stars. It is called the secret choreography of distant minds. Choreography is the art of movement shaped into harmony. In the theatre of life, our bodies dance without us noticing, heartbeats, breaths, gestures, glances. But sometimes, even our thoughts seem to move together, as if joined by a hidden rhythm. How is it that people can finish each other's sentences? How can a tune appear in two minds at once, though miles apart? Science calls this coincidence, resonance, or shared cues. Poetry calls it a secret dance. Tonight we wander between both. Begin with the body, because the body is where the mind finds its stage. Within you are more than 80 billion neurons, each one like a dancer waiting for the music. They form patterns of activity, waves of firing that rise and fall. These waves are like music in an unseen orchestra, weaving harmonies that give rise to thought, memory, and imagination. One person's orchestra may hum in one rhythm, another person's orchestra may hum in another. But when two people sit together, speak together, or even simply look into each other's eyes, the rhythms can begin to align. Their orchestras find the same beat. This is brain-to-brain synchrony, a scientific fact observed in careful studies with gentle caps and sensors. The secret choreography is real, though it is not mysterious in the sense of magic. It is mysterious in the sense of beauty. Think of breathing. When you share a room with someone you love, your breathing often matches theirs. Without trying, you inhale when they inhale, You exhale when they exhale. This happens because bodies listen to one another. Small cues, the rise of a chest, the sound of air, guide you to fall into step. This is the first layer of the secret dance. Breath links to heart links to rhythm links to thought. In this way, the body lays the foundation for minds to feel as though they are moving together. Now think of music itself. When two people listen to the same song, their brain waves can move in harmony. The beat is an external guide, but the alignment becomes internal. Even after the song ends, traces of the shared rhythm can linger, making it easier to understand each other, to guess what comes next in conversation. The music is no longer outside, it becomes part of the choreography of minds. Imagine a drum sounding across a valley, its beat echoed by dancers who cannot see one another, but who still move as one. This is what rhythm can do. It makes minds feel less distant, more joined. But the secret choreography is not only in music or breath, it is also in stories. When a group of people listens to the same tale, their brains follow similar patterns. Scientists have seen this in scans. As the plot unfolds, listeners' minds trace the same steps, like dancers learning the same choreography at the same time. The story becomes a guide, and each mind, though separate, moves in parallel. This is why shared stories are powerful. They give us common ground not only in memory but in the very rhythms of thought. Yet beyond science lies the feeling itself. You may have noticed moments when you think of a friend and they call. You may feel you are sharing a thought, though no signal travelled between you. Science explains this as coincidence, as the natural overlap of minds tuned to similar rhythms by years of shared history. And yet the experience feels deeper than explanation. It feels like choreography too subtle to see, too delicate to measure. Whether explained or not, it carries the comfort of connection. The choreography of distant minds is not quantum entanglement. It does not leap across space faster than light, but it reminds us that connection is not limited by silence or distance. When two people know each other well, their bodies and minds can mirror one another in profound ways. A glance, a pause, a silence, these become part of the shared dance. The dance is not magic, but it feels magical because it speaks to something we long for. The sense that we are not alone in our thoughts. To see the secret dance more clearly, picture two fireflies on opposite sides of a meadow. At first, their flashes are out of step. One glows, then the other, scattered in rhythm. But over time, they begin to match. Their light pulses align until they blink together, as though guided by a hidden hand. This synchronization happens in nature, not only in fireflies, but in crickets, in heart cells, even in the cycles of the moon and tides. The universe loves rhythm. The universe loves shared steps, and within that rhythm we find a reflection of our own hidden choreography. So let us pause here at the threshold of this new story. We have seen the science of synchrony, the poetry of shared breath, the image of fireflies blinking as one. The question of distant minds is not answered yet. It will deepen as we look into memory, imagination, and the subtle forces that tie us together. For now, it is enough to know this. When two people feel joined, it is not only dream, it is written in breath, in rhythm, in shared stories, in the simple harmony of being alive together. The secret choreography is there, always waiting to be seen. The secret choreography continues, unfolding not only in bodies sitting side by side, but also in the vast spaces that stretch between. Minds, though separate, often find ways to echo one another. This echo is not mystical in the sense of hidden signals flying across space. It is mystical in the sense of wonder, that something so fragile as thought can feel so shared, that something so private as imagination can seem to move in harmony with another's. To understand this dance more deeply, we must look into the threads of memory, the rhythm of attention, and the quiet ways the brain weaves itself into patterns greater than itself. Memory is one of the strongest steps in the choreography of distant minds. When two people live through the same moment, their brains carve similar patterns. The same sights, the same sounds, the same feelings, all become etched in the soft clay of neurons. Later, when one recalls that moment, their brain stirs the old pattern back into life. If both recall together, their patterns align once more. The memory becomes a shared dance floor, allowing their thoughts to move in step even if years and miles have passed. This is why remembering with someone can feel like being transported, why laughter or tears can return so easily when old stories are spoken aloud. Attention is another rhythm that joins minds. When a teacher speaks and students listen closely, their brainwaves often lock into alignment, rising and falling in the same slow pulses. When a group of friends laughs at the same joke, their attention creates a shared peak, a synchrony as real as any music. Even when people are far apart reading the same book or watching the same film, their attention is guided by the same beats of the story. Though they cannot see one another, their minds are tracing the same choreography. This explains why shared art and culture feel so binding. They are steps learned together, rehearsed across distance, danced in parallel even without direct contact. Beyond memory and attention lies imagination. Imagination is a stage where minds meet without needing physical presence. When you dream of someone, you create an image of them in your mind. That image is not them, but it carries enough of their shape to feel close. When they dream of you, the same happens. Though no particle passes between, imagination weaves a secret bridge. Lovers separated by oceans have written of this feeling, that their dreams keep them close, that their imaginations rehearse the dance until bodies can meet again. It is not physics, but it is real in the language of experience, and it sustains the heart. Science too has found evidence for the subtle ways minds connect across distance. In experiments where two people engage in deep conversation, their brain rhythms begin to align, not only in the listener, but also in the speaker. The act of speaking and listening becomes a duet, two instruments improvising yet staying in key. Some studies have gone further, exploring whether such alignment can persist when people are separated but engaged in the same task. Results are early, but they hint at what poets have long known, that minds do not exist in perfect isolation. They seek resonance, they crave synchrony, they thrive in connection. Still, we must be gentle with interpretation. These synchronies are not telepathy. They do not mean that thoughts jump across the void. They mean that human beings are tuned to one another, shaped by evolution to mirror, to respond, to share. Our survival has always depended on moving together, hunting together, building together. The brain carries this history. It is a dancer that has always listened for the steps of its companions. To find synchrony is not an accident. It is an inheritance. Consider the simple act of walking. When two people stroll side by side, their steps often fall into rhythm. If one slows, the other slows too. If one quickens, the other matches without thought. The dance requires no command. It is written into the body's desire to join. The same is true in conversation. One person leans forward, the other follows. One smiles, the other smiles back. These are the micro steps of the secret choreography, performed endlessly, unnoticed, but powerful in their accumulation. They are why we feel comfort in company, why loneliness feels like a broken rhythm, why love feels like a song. The choreography even reaches into silence. Imagine sitting quietly with someone dear, no words passing, no gestures exchanged. Still, you may feel aligned, your thoughts flowing in similar currents, your bodies resting in mirrored ease. The silence itself becomes a movement, a pause in the dance that holds as much meaning as the steps. This is perhaps the most profound synchrony of all, when two people can share quiet without breaking connection, when stillness itself becomes part of the harmony. And beyond two minds, the choreography extends into groups, into communities, into societies. When crowds gather at concerts, at rituals, at protests, their movements and voices merge. Individual rhythms become collective rhythm. The many become one for a time. This too is choreography, written on a larger scale. It reminds us that the dance of minds is not only personal, is part of our nature as social beings. The resonance of thought and feeling is not rare. It is the ground on which culture, language, and meaning are built. So what then is the secret of distant minds? It is not hidden particles whispering across space. It is the weaving of shared memory, attention, imagination, and rhythm. It is the body's quiet habit of mirroring. It is the brain's deep inheritance of synchrony. It is the comfort of sounds, the power of story, the joy of music. Together, these threads create a dance so intricate we rarely notice it. But when we do, it feels like magic. It feels like a set. It feels like love itself, moving unseen. As this second step in the story closes, let the image rest in your mind. Fireflies blinking in harmony, footsteps falling in sync, brainwaves tracing the same curve, hearts beating in shared time. The choreography is everywhere, in every breath and every glance. It is secret only because we so rarely pause to see it. But tonight, in the quiet, we can see it clearly. Minds, though distant, are always searching for rhythm, and in that rhythm they find one another. The secret choreography has carried us through breath and memory, through music and silence, through the unseen rhythm of minds seeking harmony. Now, as we bring this story toward its close, let us rest more deeply in the truth that distance does not end connection. It only changes the way the dance is felt. To see this clearly is to find peace. The movements of our thoughts and the movements of others are never fully alone. They belong to a wider pattern, a choreography older than language, older even than life itself. Think of the earliest rhythms on Earth. Before humans, before animals, even before plants, the planet moved in cycles. The tides rose and fell with the moon. Day gave way to night. Seasons turned. These great patterns were the first choreography, the dance of the earth itself. Life grew within these steps, adjusting to the rhythm, guided by it, dependent on it. The same cycles still move within us, circadian rhythms in our cells, pulses in our hearts, waves in our brains. We are dancers on the ancient stage of nature's choreography. To feel in sync with another person is to recognize that both of us are moving to the same music of the universe. Now turn to the quiet bond of two close friends. Even when far apart, they often feel the same longing at the same hour, the same spark of thought, the same weight of memory. Science explains this through shared habits, shared histories, the subtle alignment of lives. But in the heart, it feels like a secret choreography that distance cannot undo. The bond becomes an invisible rhythm, humming beneath daily life, reawakening when voices or eyes meet again. This is why reunions feel effortless, why conversations can continue after years as though no time has passed. The choreography was never broken. It only paused, waiting for the music to resume. The same holds true for love. Lovers separated by oceans may write letters that echo one another, dreams that mirror one another. The science of probability says coincidences are inevitable, but the experience says something else. It feels like a dance across distant steps taken in harmony without planning. Whether explained or not, the feeling nourishes the soul. It reminds us that to love is to enter a choreography larger than oneself, a choreography that continues even when eyes cannot meet or hands cannot touch. Communities too hold this secret dance. Rituals, songs, and ceremonies synchronize minds across time and place. A hymn sung centuries ago can still move voices today into alignment. A story told generations ago can still guide thoughts along the same arc. In this way, the choreography becomes timeless, carried not only by individuals but by cultures. To participate in such a rhythm is to step into a dance that does not belong to you alone. It belongs to the whole, and in belonging to the whole it gives comfort to each part. Even silence, when shared, can join distant minds. Consider two people looking at the same moon from different continents. They do not see each other, they do not hear each other, yet their thoughts may touch as they rest on the same silver light. The choreography here is subtle. The shared object of attention, the shared hour of night, the shared rhythm of the earth turning beneath their feet. This is not telepathy. It is not quantum entanglement. It is something quieter, but no less real. The alignment of minds through the simple act of looking, of being, of belonging to the same sky. The choreography also shows itself in grief. When someone we love leaves this world, the rhythm we shared with them seems to vanish. But then, in certain moments, we feel it return, in a song they loved, in a place they walked, in a gesture that echoes their presence. These are steps of the dance that linger, written into memory, into the fabric of who we are. The science of memory explains it. The heart feels it as continuity. The choreography is not ended by absence. It changes, becoming softer, more inward, but still present. It is a reminder that bonds do not vanish, they transform. So what is the secret choreography of distant minds? It is not one thing, but many. It is the breath aligning in quiet rooms. It is the laughter rising in shared stories. It is the rhythm of footsteps, the pulse of music, the pause of silence. It is the memory that draws patterns across years. It is the attention that focuses together on song or story. It is the imagination that keeps bonds alive across oceans. It is the ancient rhythms of the earth that underlie us all. The choreography is a tapestry woven of countless threads, each small, each fragile, but together forming something unbreakable. And as we close, let us return to the image of fireflies. At first they blink in chaos, scattered and alone. Slowly, though, they find one another's rhythm. Soon the meadow glows in unison, each light echoing the others, each step part of the same hidden score. This is the secret choreography, the pattern that emerges when many seek harmony. It happens in nature, it happens in us, and once seen, it cannot be unseen. As you drift toward rest, imagine yourself part of this choreography, Your breath, your heartbeat, your thoughts are all steps in a larger dance. Others around you, friends, family, even strangers, are moving too, their rhythms touching yours in ways you cannot always feel. You're not alone, you are part of a vast, ongoing dance that began long before you and will continue long after. Let this bring you peace, let it ease you into sleep. For in the end, the choreography of distant minds is not a mystery to solve, it is a gift to feel, a quiet assurance that connection is everywhere, waiting for us to notice, waiting for us to join the dance. The next story drifts into a quieter mirror, a reflection both scientific and poetic. It is called Echoes of Thought in the Quantum Mirror. Mirrors are strange things. They show us ourselves, yet always in reverse. They reveal, but they also distort. They remind us that seeing is never simple, that truth can shift depending on the angle. In the quantum world, mirrors take on even stranger roles. They're not always glass, but fields and states that reflect probabilities, reflections of what might be as much as what is. And in our minds, thoughts too echo like reflections, sometimes sharp, sometimes faint, sometimes returning to us in unexpected ways. Tonight, let us step softly into this hall of mirrors, where physics and thought meet. Begin with the simplest mirror, light striking a surface and returning. When photons meet polished glass, they bounce back, carrying an image of what stands before them. This is reflection in the ordinary sense, the kind we see each morning. But photons are not only messengers of images, they are also quanta, packets of energy that obey the subtle rules of quantum mechanics. When they strike, they do not choose a single path at once. They scatter, interfere, overlap, and only when we observe do they decide. Every mirror is therefore a stage for quantum whispers, a theatre where many possibilities exist until one is chosen. The reflection you see is not inevitable. It is the outcome of countless probabilities collapsing into a single quiet picture. Now think of the mind. Thoughts too behave like quantum possibilities. Before you decide, many options drift within you. Before you speak, many sentences wait. Before you act, many paths lie open. A thought is chosen, like a photon collapsing into a reflection, and the others fade into silence. But do they vanish entirely? Or do they echo faintly in the corners of memory? This is the first way the quantum mirror appears in us, as the echo of possibilities not taken, paths not walked, words not spoken. They're not gone, they are part of the background hum, the whispers of what might have been. Scientists study echoes of particles with tools called interferometers, mirrors set at angles so that light can split and recombine. The light's interference reveals whether it behaved like a wave or like a particle, whether it carried its possibilities intact or collapsed into a single outcome. These experiments remind us that what we see is never the whole story. A single photon can interfere with itself, as though reflecting against a mirror of its own existence. In this strange echo, the universe tells us that being is not always singular, that even the smallest pieces of reality can hold more than one truth until we look. Our minds too hold interference. Memories overlap, dreams mix with waking. The sound of a voice from long ago may echo in the present, changing the way we hear someone new. These are not quantum echoes in the strict sense, but they are mental interference patterns, reflection layered upon reflections. This is why thought is rarely linear. It bends back upon itself, it recombines with old echoes, it reshapes what is new by what has been. To live is to walk in a hall of mirrors, each thought casting reflections forward and backward in time. Consider how art and poetry often feel like mirrors. A line of verse read centuries later can echo inside us as though written yesterday. The poet's thought has been carried through time, reflected in language, preserved like light in glass. When we read, we join the reflection, our minds aligning with theirs across the void of years. This too is a quantum mirror of sorts, the thought of another becoming our own for a moment, the echo of one mind moving into another. Science explains it as communication. Poetry feels it as resonance. Both are true. Even in science, mirrors have deeper roles. In quantum optics, mirrors are used to trap light, to bounce photons back and forth in delicate cavities, holding them long enough to study their whispers. In physics, they are also used to reflect matter waves, atoms behaving like light, bouncing against fields as though fields were glass. These mirrors do not show faces, they show probabilities, states, and behaviours too small for eyes. But they remind us again of the metaphor. Reflection is not always what is seen, but also what is hidden and echoed. So what are echoes of thought in this quantum mirror? They are the lingering images of our choices and memories, the overlap of past and present in the mind, the reflections of one person's voice in another's imagination. They are also the deeper truth revealed by science, that even the smallest pieces of reality hold echoes of possibility, reflections of what might have been. To walk in this mirror is to understand that nothing is ever only itself. Everything is part reflection, part echo, part possibility waiting to unfold. As we close this first part of the story, imagine standing in a quiet room filled with mirrors. Light glimmers in infinite reflections, stretching into corridors of possibility. Each reflection is you, yet slightly different. Each is true, yet not the same. This is what thought feels like. This is what the quantum world shows us. In every reflection, in every echo, there is a reminder. Reality is richer than what we see, and thought is deeper than what we speak. The mirror is not empty. It is full of echoes, and those echoes, soft and unending, are part of the dance of existence itself. The echoes within the quantum mirror deepen when we step more carefully into the union of science and the mind. A mirror is never just a surface. It is a place where light meets matter, where waves fold back upon themselves, where images are born and returned. In the quantum sense, a mirror is also a boundary of possibility, a surface where probabilities are forced to choose, where echoes of many worlds collapse into one. This is not so different from the mind. Each decision, each memory, is a reflection of countless possibilities, each carrying traces of what could have been. These are the echoes of thought drifting across the chambers of memory and imagination. Think of a simple decision, to speak or to remain silent. In that moment, the mind holds both outcomes. One path leads to words in the air, shaping another's mind. The other path leads to silence, a conversation unchanged. Once the choice is made, the unchosen possibility fades, yet it leaves an echo, a faint awareness of what might have been. Over time, such echoes accumulate. They form the weight of regret, the glow of nostalgia, the haunting of what if. These are not illusions, they are reflections, just as real in the fabric of experience as the actual path chosen. The quantum mirror reminds us that no choice is ever truly alone. It stands beside its unseen twin, echoing softly. In physics, Mirrors are used in experiments that test the very foundations of reality. Consider the Mach-Zehnder interferometer, where a single photon is split by a mirror into two possible paths. The photon seems to travel both, its wave function spread across both possibilities. Only when the paths are recombined does interference reveal its dual nature. This experiment shows that possibility is not an illusion. It is part of the photon's nature. Until measured, the photon carries echoes of both paths. The quantum mirror holds them, lets them exist, and only then returns a single outcome. Our thoughts too work this way. We hold many paths within, and only later does experience show which becomes real. Now turn to memory itself. Memory is not a perfect record. It is reflection constantly reshaped by the present. Each time we recall, we rewrite, layering new echoes upon the old. In this way, memory is a hall of mirrors, each reflection shaped not only by the past, but by the act of remembering. Neuroscience tells us this is how memories stay alive, refreshed like light bouncing in a chamber. But poetry tells us something more, that memory is alive precisely because it is never still, because it echoes and shifts like reflections on moving water. What we remember is not what was, but what the mirror gives us now, layered with echoes of all the times we have looked before. There is also imagination, a mirror turned inward. When we imagine, we reflect possibilities not yet chosen, futures not yet lived. Imagination is the quantum mirror of the mind, where probabilities are rehearsed before they collapse into action. In this sense, imagination is a gift of echoes. It lets us see beyond the single reflection of the present, lets us wander among corridors of possibility. Without imagination, the mind would be flat, like a mirror showing only what is. With imagination, the mind becomes infinite, filled with reflections that never end. This is why imagination feels so vast, so luminous, so necessary. In the realm of art, echoes of thought find another home. A painting, a poem, a melody is the reflection of an inner image cast into the world. When we receive it, it becomes a mirror for our own thought. The painter's echo becomes our reflection. The poet's rhythm becomes our inner music. Across centuries, across languages, these echoes live. They are not weakened by time, they are strengthened, multiplied in the minds that hold them. Each reader, each listener adds their own reflection until the hall of mirrors grows endless. This is why art feels eternal. It is not one image, but infinite echoes, each new and each true. Even Sandal holds echoes. Consider meditation, where the mind grows still. In the quiet, thoughts seem to vanish, but echoes remain. Faint ripples of awareness, reflections of the self. Some traditions speak of this as a mirror mind, polished until it reflects reality without distortion. In the language of physics, we might call this coherence, a state where the noise quiets, where patterns can emerge clearly. In silence, the echoes do not vanish, they align. They become like waves in harmony, reflections without conflict, a pure echo of being itself. The quantum mirror also reminds us of symmetry. In physics, many laws remain unchanged when reflected, but some do not. The universe has preferences, asymmetries, small biases that give rise to matter itself. Without them, particles and antiparticles would have destroyed each other, leaving only light. The existence of matter, of stars, of us, is because of a broken symmetry, an echo that was not perfect. Our lives are shaped by such asymmetries too. Our reflections are never exact. The choices we make, the thoughts we hold, are tilted by bias, by chance, by history. The imperfection is what allows us to exist. Without it, we would be nothing but even light, endless and unshaped. The echo, imperfect though it is, makes us real. So when we speak of echoes of thought in the quantum mirror, we speak of many layers: the physics of particles carrying possibilities, the psychology of memory reflecting and reshaping, the imagination rehearsing futures, the art echoing across time, the silence aligning reflections, the asymmetry that creates being itself. Each is a mirror. Each carries echoes. Each reminds us that reality is never flat, never single, never only what is seen. There is always more, always reflection, always a chorus of echoes. As this second part of the story closes, imagine standing before not one mirror, but thousands, angled and layered, reflecting light into endless corridors. Your own image repeats into infinity, each slightly changed, each slightly new. This is what thought is, this is what memory is, this is what the universe itself is. Infinite echoes, infinite reflections, infinite possibilities collapsing into the single step you take now. And yet the echoes do not vanish, they remain soft, unending, reminding you that each step belongs to a wider dance, a wider hall, a wider mirror that never breaks. The echoes in the quantum mirror are not only patterns of light or probabilities of particles, they are also invitations, gentle reminders that reality itself is layered with hidden depths. To bring this story toward its quiet close, let us step deeper into these reflections, letting them blur the lines between science and soul until we find ourselves resting in their harmony. For in the end, the mirror does not only show us what is, it shows us what could be, what was, and what lingers still as an echo. Begin again with the photon. A single particle of light meets a mirror, and a reflection is born. But in the quantum sense, that photon has more than one possible path. It might reflect, might pass through, it might linger in both until an observation chooses. Each outcome holds an echo of the others. Even when one path becomes real, the others are not fully lost. They shape the probabilities, they live in the wave function, they hum in the unseen. To see this is to realize that echoes are not only memories, they are structures of being. The universe itself remembers its possibilities. Now think of a thought. You may recall a time when you stood at a crossroads, unsure which path to take. You chose one, but the other still lives within you, in dreams, in daydreams, in the quiet wondering of what might have been. That unchosen path is a reflection in the mirror of your life. It is not wasted. It teaches you who you are by showing who you are not. It adds depth to your story, even as an echo. Just as photons carry their untraveled paths within their interference, we carry ours. The mirror within us holds all that we have been and all that we could have been, shimmering together. In physics, echoes often appear as interference fringes, bands of light and dark created when waves overlap. In the mind, echoes appear as moods, as memories stirred by music or sense, as feelings that rise without clear cause. A song from childhood brings not only the memory of that time, but also the layered reflections of every time you have heard it since. The song is the photon. Your life is the interferometer. The result is a pattern, bright and dark, joy and sorrow, blended into a unique reflection that belongs to you alone. The quantum mirror teaches us that interference is not noise but beauty, not confusion but richness. It is the way light and life reveal their depth. There is also the mirror of relationship. When two minds meet, they become mirrors for one another. Each reflects, each echoes. A glance is returned, a smile is echoed, a gesture becomes a duet. Over time, partners in friendship or love become so accustomed to each other's reflections that they anticipate them, move with them, feel them even in absence. This is why the memory of someone dear can be so vivid. Their reflection remains within you, an echo that continues to shape you long after parting. The mirror of the mind is never empty once it has reflected another. It holds the image gently like light stored in glass. Science too builds mirrors of possibility. Quantum computers, though still young, rely on superposition and interference, on holding echoes of many solutions at once before collapsing into an answer. They are machines built from echoes, tools that remind us of how powerful it can be to hold more than one reflection before deciding. Perhaps this is a lesson for us as well, that we need not always rush to collapse our thoughts into certainty, that it is good to linger in possibility, to let the echoes guide us gently before we choose. And what of the universe itself? The cosmos holds mirrors everywhere. Galaxies bend light, creating echoes of distant stars across the sky. Black holes warp space, reflecting paths of photons into strange curves. Even the cosmic microwave background is an echo, the afterglow of the universe's birth still shimmering billions of years later. To look at the night sky is to look into a hall of cosmic mirrors, each star and galaxy not only itself, but also an echo of its past, a reflection of its journey. The universe is a mirror of time, and we, in gazing, become part of its reflection. In the quiet of meditation, some traditions speak of the mirror mind, polished until it reflects reality just as it is. In such stillness, echoes do not confuse or overwhelm. They harmonize. They show us that thought itself is not separate from the world, but part of its unfolding. In this way, the mirror becomes not a surface but a window, opening onto the vastness within and without. The echoes of thought become not distractions but companions, voices reminding us of the depth of our being. So let us bring this story to its close with an image. Imagine yourself standing in a long hall filled with mirrors angled in every direction. Light enters and suddenly the hall is alive with endless reflections. Each one is you, yet each is different. Some brighter, some dimmer, some warped, some clear. Walk slowly and you will see that none can be dismissed. Each reflection adds to the whole. Each echo deepens the story. This is the quantum mirror. This is the mind. This is the universe. Nothing is only itself. Everything is part reflection, part echo, part possibility, shimmering in silence. As you rest now, think of your own life as such a hall. The choices you have made, the paths you have not taken, the memories you hold, the dreams you imagine, all are reflections in your mirror. They do not vanish, they remain soft and shining, part of who you are. You're not only one step, one outcome, you're all the echoes together, the sum of every reflection. And that is enough. It is more than enough. It is beautiful. So close your eyes and let the echoes settle around you. Let the quantum mirror hold you, not as a single reflection, but as a chorus of light. You are not alone. You're surrounded by echoes, by possibilities, by memories, by dreams. They are your companions, your gentle mirrors. They are the soft truth that nothing is ever lost, only reflected differently. Leap within this hall of mirrors and know that you are infinite in reflection, endless in echo, and luminous in every possibility you have ever carried. There is a final story waiting, one that hums with music too soft for ears, too vast for instruments. It is called the silent music that binds the universe. Music is rhythm, vibration, resonance. When strings are plucked, when air is moved, when waves travel, we call it sound. But there is a music deeper than sound, a vibration that never fades even when silence surrounds us. The universe itself is made of waves, matter, light, gravity. Even time itself can be thought of as oscillations. The silent music is everywhere and it binds everything, from atoms in our bodies to galaxies turning in the sky. Begin with the atom, the smallest orchestra we can name. Within its heart, protons and neutrons dance together, bound by strong forces. Around them, electrons whirl in patterns that are not orbits like planets, but standing waves, vibrations held in shape by the rules of quantum mechanics. Each allowed energy level is like a note, and when electrons leap between them, they release photons, packets of light, tiny bursts of song. This is why we see colours in fire, in stars, in leaves. Each shade is a note of the atom's music. Together, the atoms weave a cosmic symphony, inaudible to our ears but radiant to our eyes. Now drift outward to the stars. Stars too are instruments, their hearts vibrating with pressure and gravity, their surfaces rippling like vast oceans of flame. Astronomers study these vibrations, a science called asteroseismology, to learn what lies within. Just as seismologists study earthquakes to know the Earth's interior, scientists study stellar vibrations to know a star's soul. The pulses of stars are deep bass notes of the universe, humming through space for millions of years. Our own sun has rhythms, oscillations that travel through its burning body, echoes of the silent music that shapes its light. To know this is to know that even the sun is singing, though its song is too deep for us to hear. Beyond stars, galaxies spin, their arms turning like vast records, their rotation a rhythm stretched over billions of years. Gravity itself is a vibration rippling through space-time when massive objects collide. Black holes merging send out waves in the fabric of existence, gravitational waves, music without sound, ripples without air. In 2015, humanity first heard these waves with instruments sensitive enough to feel distortions smaller than an atom. Two black holes had collided 1 billion years ago, and at last their echo reached us. It was a note of the universe's deepest song played on the grandest stage. To hear it was to realize that silence had always been filled with music. But the silent music does not live only in stars and galaxies. It lives within us. Every cell vibrates. Every molecule dances. Proteins fold with rhythms. DNA coils with structure. The brain itself hums with electrical oscillations, waves that rise and fall in synchrony, guiding thought and dream. These brainwaves are not sound, but they are music nonetheless. They create coherence, patterns that shape how we feel, how we remember, how we rest. When you close your eyes at night and drift into sleep, your brain enters slower rhythms, soft waves that cradle you. The silent music guides you into dreaming, into healing, into peace. Music also appears in the patterns we make as living beings. Heartbeats follow rhythms and they sync with breath. Breaths fall into rhythm with steps. Steps fall into rhythm with songs. When two people walk together, their strides find harmony. When many sing together, their voices align, their hearts sometimes beating as one. Science measures this synchrony. Poetry feels it as belonging. The silent music that binds us is not only physical, it is also emotional. It is the rhythm of empathy, the resonance of love, the harmony of shared existence. Even silence, true silence, is music. It is the pause between notes that allows melody. It is the gap between breaths that makes the next one sweet. The universe too has its silences. The long dark stretches between stars. The stillness of deep space. But these silences are not empty. They are part of the rhythm. They give shape to the song. They remind us that even absence has meaning, that without pauses, music would be noise. Without silence, life would lose its depth. The silent music is in the sound and in the stillness, in the presence and in the absence, in the beat and in the breath between. As we pause here at the opening of this final story, let the image settle. The universe is an endless orchestra playing without instruments, filling silence with waves too deep to hear, too vast to measure. You're part of this orchestra. Every atom in you is a note. Every breath you take is a rhythm. Every heartbeat is a drum. You're not separate from the silent music. You're one of its voices, always humming, always resonating, always part of the cosmic song. And when you close your eyes, you can almost hear it. The softest music of all, the silent harmony that binds the universe. The silent music grows clearer the deeper we listen, not with ears but with imagination, not with instruments alone but with the stillness of mind. We have begun with atoms, stars, galaxies, and the gentle rhythms of the body. Now, let us wander into the hidden places where vibrations reveal themselves, where harmony shapes both the smallest details and the grandest patterns. For if the universe is bound by anything, it is bound by rhythm, resonance, and the silent music that carries all things forward. Start with the strings that may lie at the foundation of matter. Some theories suggest that the particles we know, electrons, quarks, photons, are not the smallest notes. Instead, they may be tiny strings, vibrating in many ways. Each vibration would create a different particle, just as each pluck of a string creates a different note. Though this remains unproven, the image is haunting. The universe is a vast instrument, every form of matter born of invisible strings humming at the edge of silence. Whether true or not, the metaphor sings. It reminds us that everything may be vibration, that all substance may be music slowed into form. Even without string theory, the universe reveals its harmonies. Consider the orbital resonances of moons. Around Jupiter, 3 of its largest moons, Io, Europa, and Ganymede, follow a pattern. For every orbit of Ganymede, Europa makes 2, and Io makes 4. Their dance is precise, locked into rhythm by gravity. The same is true for Saturn's moons, for Pluto's companions, for countless bodies across the cosmos. These are not random motions. They are choreographies of gravity. Dances that keep balance across the ages. If you could listen with the right senses, you would hear a music of orbits, a rhythm of worlds turning in time. Waves also bind the Earth itself. The planet vibrates with seismic rhythms, its crust ringing faintly after every quake, humming with a background note called the Earth's free oscillations. These vibrations travel through stone and ocean, too low for ears but measurable by instruments. Some scientists speak of the Earth's hum, a music without sound that surrounds us always. Perhaps it is the breathing of the planet, perhaps the footsteps of the ocean's waves, perhaps both. To know this is to know that even the ground beneath us is not silent. It too sings patiently, endlessly, and within us the silent music becomes more intimate still. Heartbeats do not simply mark time, they are part of a resonance that reaches into the brain. Studies show that our emotions often pulse with our heart's rhythm, that our perception of time itself can shift with its beat. The heart is not only a pump, it is a drum in the body's orchestra, leading the symphony of breath, thought, and feeling. When two people rest near one another, their heartbeats can sync, their rhythms falling into harmony. This is not mystical, it is physical, yet it feels sacred, for it reminds us that even our bodies are instruments seeking resonance with others. Think also of sleep. As we drift from wakefulness into rest, our brainwaves slow into deep oscillations. They ripple like tides, guiding us into dreams. These rhythms clear our memories, wash our thoughts, restore our strength. Without them, the mind frays. With them, the mind heals. The music is silent, but its power is immense. Each night, without effort, we are carried by these rhythms into renewal. The silent music is not far away. It is as close as our own dreaming. Even culture and language show the power of resonance. Poetry relies on rhythm. Songs rely on beat. Stories are told in cadences that rise and fall, pulling minds into synchrony. When people chant together, when voices join in harmony, the brain releases chemicals of bonding and calm. The silent music is not only in physics but in experience. It is what allows crowds to move as one, what makes us feel belonging in the presence of song, what lets us lose ourselves in the rhythm of words. These harmonies are echoes of deeper laws, the human form repeating the universe's love of resonance. Beyond the earth, the silent music continues with gravitational waves, those ripples in space-time. They remind us that even the structure of reality is flexible, capable of vibration. When black holes collide, when neutron stars spiral together, the universe rings. The waves travel without sound, but they carry energy across billions of light years. By the time they reach us, their strength is faint, yet their song is still clear enough for delicate instruments to feel. Each detection is like hearing a note played long ago, reaching us at last across the dark. These are reminders that silence is not empty, that the universe is always moving, always singing. Some say that if we had perfect senses, we could hear the music of the spheres, the harmony of planets, the song of stars, the chords of galaxies. Whether literal or not, the metaphor carries truth. Every motion is rhythm. Every vibration is song. Every echo is harmony. The universe is music, though most of it lies beyond our hearing. We catch glimpses of it in mathematics, in science, in poetry. We feel it in our bodies, in our breaths, in our hearts. The silent music binds us because we are made of it. So let us pause at this deep part of the story. We've heard the string's vibration, the moon's resonance, the earth's hum, the heart's drum, the brain's tides, the crowd's chant, the star's pulse, the galaxy's rotation, the gravitational waves' ripple. Each is a voice in the same choir, a part of the same silent song. And we are not only listeners, we are also singers, each of us vibrating, resonating, moving in rhythm with the whole. To recognize this is to find comfort. It is to know that we belong not only to Earth, but to the music that binds the universe.